Hello. Thank you for watching and listening to You Had Options. This episode I had Andrew from the band Choices Made up in Toronto. They have a new EP out on Curse Blessings Records called Reason for Conflict. Make sure to check them out. It's fun. It's a good hardcore punk EP. It reminded me of Madball. I enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe, rate, all that good stuff for the podcast. Go find us on YouTube. Go find me on Twitch. Twitch.tv/youhadoptions. Find Choices Made on Instagram at Choices Made TO. Go buy their record. Go listen to it. Yeah. Find me on Instagram at youhadoptions. On Twitter at youhadoptions. Yeah. Thanks for all the support. I appreciate it. Thank you. Andrew,
perfect.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. How is your COVID going? I guess we're almost, hopefully on the way out.
I hope so. I mean, here in Toronto, it sure doesn't feel like it. We're still in lockdown, and it doesn't feel like there's an end, but there is talk of it.
Yeah.
So hopefully, yeah. I mean, we're kind of watching you guys, and it's like, I feel like it just looks like the States has just clicked over and gone back to normal. Like it does, as if nothing has happened. But here we're still battling through it. But, it'll be over soon enough, I hope.
Yeah. Do you guys have, how widespread is the vaccine up there, I guess?
Well, I mean, it started off real slow.
Yeah.
It seems to be getting better now, but it's just taken a hell of a long time. It was just really strange to me because, like, way back in the beginning, they were making it sound like Canada had purchased the majority of the vaccines, and and then all of a sudden it just seemed to stop, and it was like, there are no vaccines and everything's late. So I don't know what happened there, but things are looking good now. So I think we're slowly getting there.
That's good, man. Yeah, it's just weird times, and now even I'm in Alabama, and so it's pretty loose here. It's been pretty loose, for a long time, especially now with the vaccine. People it's just pretty much back to normal, I think. So it sucks to see my buddies in other parts of the country or in other countries just like, oh man, I can't leave my house. And I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But I mean, are you guys I don't know if you're paying any attention to like the numbers of cases, but now that you guys have kind of opened up, like, are you seeing any like numbers of COVID going back up again, or does it seem to be, has the vaccine sort of sorted it out?
I think with the vaccine, it's kind of like evened out in our area. I haven't heard of where it's gone up since stuff's been opening up more with the vaccine. But yeah, it's just fucking crazy. I'm not a doctor or a medical person. I don't know. I'm just some dumb punk rock dude.
Yeah, we just wanted to go back to normal so we can start playing shows.
Right, man. I'm trying to get paid $20, to drive 8 hours and play a show. Yeah.
I would love that. I will pay $20 to drive 8 hours and play a show right now.
Right. So your band Choices Made, you just put out an EP.
Yeah. Reason for Conflict.
Yeah. What did you guys have that before COVID, or was that just something, were those songs already ready to go out before COVID, or is that a COVID byproduct?
I think there's only 4 songs on the EP, but I think we probably already had 3 of them, or at least 2 of them down, because I remember playing them once or twice at shows beginning of last year. So I know we had those down, or at least we were testing them out live.
Right.
But what are we now? 20? I get so confused now. I feel like we put out a previous EP at the beginning of 2020, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we put out a whole bunch of singles throughout the year, and then we recorded Reason for Conflict, the 4 songs, probably I think in September.
Yeah. So
yeah, the songs were already pretty much written, but we only recorded it at the end of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you guys put out a full length? I noticed you guys have a lot of EPs and singles.
Yeah. So no, we haven't. The reason why we were able to put out all those singles throughout the year was because we actually, when we recorded the previous EP, Convince, we went in with the intention of putting down 4 or 5 songs. But then when we got into the studio, Mike, our drummer, the dude is a machine. And he put down the 4 or 5 songs that we wanted to do, like literally first take. And we were like, well, shit, we've got all this time now. Do you want to, do the rest of the songs that we have? So we pretty much put down 10 or 11 songs. And we thought, well, maybe we should, put out a full length. But we just felt as a being a new band, it probably made more sense to just put out an EP. So we put out the best songs on that Convince, and then when the lockdown happened, we were like, well, shit, we've got these other 5 songs lying around. We can't play shows, so let's put these out once a month or once every 2 months, which I think worked out for the best at the end of the day. So we haven't put out a full length. Hopefully, I think now that we've put this EP out, we're starting to think now it'll be a rad idea to put out a full length for the next release.
Yeah, it's and now I've been talking with my buddies before about this, where it's so different putting out music now that you see a bunch of like hip hop artists just putting out singles, and like a full length is like secondary or like third, in thought. So yeah, I think I think putting out singles now, a lot of singles is way more advantageous,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially if you're a well-established band that's been around for 10, 20 years, then putting out a full length makes total sense. But when nobody really knows you, I think it's especially with people's short attention span these days, I think it's really difficult to get someone who has no invested interest in you to listen to a full 10, 12 songs. Yeah. But if you can get them to listen to 2 to 4 songs and hopefully get them hooked on your music that way, you've probably got a better chance of gaining more fans like that. Whereas if someone has to put in a whole lot of time to listen to your full album, they're probably not going to want to do that, especially if they don't know you that well. So that's probably why people are putting out singles and EPs, or at least unknown artists.
Yeah. But you guys are on Cursed Blessings.
Yeah.
label. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys been on them since the beginning of the band?
No. I mean, the band has actually been around longer than the label has.
Okay.
But Al, the owner of the label, who was also the singer of Almighty Trigger Happy, he I mean, I think he's just being nice, but he's always told us that he started the label because of choices made.
Okay.
Now, I love that he said that, and I love the guy to death, and I absolutely appreciate that. And if that is the case, then I am totally honored.
Right.
But yeah, so we've been out, we've been playing for a while. He happened to be working at the venue that we played. This is what he has told us. He heard us. We kind of caught his attention, and he really enjoyed what he heard. And we've been good friends since that. And then all of a sudden, he said, "Look, I'm starting this label, and I want to, put a 7-inch out for you." And it's not very often that you find people that have got nothing to do with the band that actually want to be involved with you and help you out. And especially from someone like Al, who's been around the punk scene for a very long time. It's it was an honor, and it felt great to have someone willing to put the time, energy, and money into us.
For sure.
So we're very grateful for that.
For sure. Yeah, and even just putting out like a 7-inch, physically getting things pressed and getting all your ducks in a row, it takes so long, and it's just such a tedious process, and there's so much like back and forth, and there's once you think you have everything squared away, you find out, oh, we got to go back and do this one thing, and then you find all these other things, and then like you said, it costs money, and it's expensive to press records, and so having somebody I don't think we probably wouldn't have. I mean, we probably could have done it ourselves, but it was definitely out of our budget to do it. So absolutely grateful to Al and Doug and everyone at Cursed Blessings. They've been absolutely amazing to us. Yeah.
And at the same time, they decided to put it out in the middle of a pandemic. I think most people would have said, hell no, that's a horrible idea. But, Al is crazy that way, and, good for him. And, and he's working his butt off to do the best for us. And so we appreciate that. Right. Yeah. It's obviously a passion for him. It's not like, dollar signs in his eyes being like, oh, this is going to make so much money. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah. So you are from South Africa. I did some research. Okay. Yep. You are right. Yep. Yeah. How long have you been in Canada? Probably about 10 or 11 years. Yeah. Yeah. So were you in South Africa before that the whole time? Before I moved here, I was living in San Diego for about 2 or 3 years. But before that, I was living in South Africa. Yeah. Wow. So what's the biggest difference between living in South Africa and living in Toronto? Oh man, that's like you need like another 2 hours of podcasting for that. Let's do it. I don't care. That's fine. I always wonder whether people find this interesting or not. But yeah, it's I mean, just from the basic living, like just life, like life is a lot, I don't want to say easier, but it's not as stressful, like just in terms of crime, at least. You can kind of live a pretty damn good life here. Whereas back home, you're constantly looking over your shoulder. You're constantly worried about someone stealing your stuff or shooting you, or things like that. But then just culture-wise, Toronto just has. I mean, that's the reason why I moved. One of the reasons why I moved here was just I'd been here on vacation as a young lad, and I fell in love with the punk scene and the skate scene and just how awesome people were here. Um, and coming from South Africa, which is, we're very limited. We don't have international bands. Well, we had one or two, but generally no punk bands are coming out to South Africa to play. So you're limited to that exposure. And here, like I said, when I was here for 3 months in '98, I was going to 2-3 punk shows a week. I was in heaven. It was awesome. So there's a lot of awesome things about South Africa as well. But for a kid growing up in the punk and skate scene, Toronto was just it was amazing.
Right. So you lived in San Diego for a little bit. What was that like? What made you want to go from San Diego to Toronto, I guess?
Well, San Diego to me is, I've yet to find a better place than San Diego. San Diego to me really felt like home. I've never been happier in San Diego than anywhere else. So I moved to San Diego because the company that I was working for was a clothing brand called Iron Fist. Because they originally started in South Africa and they slowly moved the company to San Diego. So I moved to San Diego with them because I was the art director at the time. But before moving to San Diego, I had applied for my Canadian immigration, which must have been 2004. Was it 2004? It was a long time ago, but it was taking them, it took a long, I was told it was going to take 2 to 3 years for my immigration to, the papers to come through. And after 3 years, still nothing had happened. And I kept getting told that, it'll be another year and another year. So I eventually just moved to San Diego. And then after 3 years, stuff was going a little crappy with the company. But at the same time, my Canadian immigration came through. And so that was 7.5 years later. And then they sent me a mail saying, your immigration's come through, but you have 2 weeks to land in the country or you lose your application and you have to start from the beginning again. And I was like, fuck, you guys take 7.5 years to get through my application, but you're now giving me 2 weeks to land in the country? Fuck you. But so that was, I kind of didn't have much of a choice. It was like, well, I better move here or else I'm going to lose my immigration application. And I wasn't quite, and in San Diego, I was on a temporary work visa.
Yeah.
So I knew that if I didn't take, the Canadian application, there's a good chance that I'd probably end up have to go back to South Africa. And I didn't want that. So I moved here, and don't get me wrong, I'm totally stoked to be living in Toronto. It's home now. I fucking love it. If I had the choice, I'd probably move back to San Diego if I could. But there's a lot of good things about Toronto as well. So it's a bit of a tough one for me now.
Just playing shows in Toronto. I remember the first time we went through the Niagara border crossing and drove to Toronto, and there's kind of just farmland for a long time. And then just out of nowhere, it looks like fucking Oz or something. It's Toronto right there.
Yeah.
All the crazy buildings. I was like, shit, this is wild.
That's the only thing that kind of sucks about Canada is that I remember with my first band, we toured the UK, and you could literally play a show, drive for about 2 hours, and then you were in the next town.
Yeah.
Drive for 2 hours and you're in the next town. Whereas here, you've got to drive for 8, 12, 16 hours before you get to the next city, and it's not an easy country to tour, which is a little frustrating, but other than that, it's rad.
Yeah.
Where did you guys play when you played in Toronto?
Bovine Sex Club.
Fuck yeah, I love that place.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Awesome.
Got a parking ticket outside.
Well, of course you did. How long ago was that?
2018, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Huh.
But Toronto was.
Do you remember who you played with?
We played with Anti-Queens and some other bands. Like we had played with Anti-Queens before in like Florida.
Okay.
We've known them for a while, and so
Awesome.
they helped us set up a show up there. Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, they're awesome.
yeah. What so you Choices Made is pretty much like a straight up hardcore band. What hardcore punk band? Is
Yeah,
is that fair?
I guess so, man. Like labeling is so weird these days. But it's the easiest way to try and explain it, because I feel like I think I said this in a previous podcast. Like, I think we're too punk to be hardcore, and we're too hardcore to be punk. So it's like it's a tough one. I feel like the real hardcore kids here don't take us too seriously, but we're not tough guy enough. And then for the punk kids, we're probably, I say kids, I don't want to use kids, punk fans,
people
we're maybe a little too heavy, but at the same time, I'd like to think that most people enjoy what we're doing. So yeah, I mean, I always say it's a cross between like, New York hardcore meets California punk rock.
Yeah.
But only because, like Steve, the guitarist, he's and myself, we're sort of huge, sick of it all, comeback kid, that sort of vibe. And then Josh and myself are more the old Fat Records, early Fat, early Epitaph.
Yeah.
Type sounding bands, Good Riddance, that kind of stuff. So I think that just comes out when we start playing. That's what comes out in our music is that sort of crossover,
Right. Yeah. I think with y'all's most recent EP, I was listening to it a lot, getting ready for this podcast. I think it's very Madball to me.
Awesome.
And so, I'm not the biggest hardcore guy, but I know a little bit, and so
yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, to be to be put in the same sentence as Madball is greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Yeah. I remember the first time I heard Madball, it was their New York hardcore EP, and that just like made me want to run through walls,
Yeah,
and so
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love that band. To me, Madball are amazing. Like, just everything they've put out has been great, and they're a fun band to watch. Like some hardcore bands have just got that full on tough guy vibe, and Madball have it as well. But there's something about that their shows are still fun.
Yeah,
as tough guy as it is, it has a fun element to it, and I kind of enjoy that. So I think they write great music and they put on amazing shows. And that's what you want. You want to be entertained, right?
Right. And like you're just saying, I think it's you can only be so tough. It's like.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not really that hard. You know what I'm saying? It's like.
Yeah, I understand it all.
Right.
I'm just not a tough. I will get my ass kicked by the skinniest hardcore New York hardcore kid there is. Like I'm the first to admit it. I'm not a tough guy.
Right.
But I do appreciate that music. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Lionheart, and I feel like they put off such a tough guy attitude in their music. But I enjoy listening to it. A lot of their songs I can relate to, not in the sense of being a tough guy, but just what they sing about. And I love the riffs, and some of the music is great. The same with Madball. So I can absolutely appreciate it, but you'll never see Choices Made coming off as hardcore. We're a bunch of softies and we're there to have a good time, but just but with a bit of a hardcore sound,
Right. An edge. Yeah. I
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
No. So you play in the pictures I saw. Do you play a P bass? Is that your bass? Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
have you always been a P bass guy?
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't even been a bass player. I only I've always played guitar in
Okay.
my previous bands, and then I I played upright bass for a short while, but I don't really consider that. I've never been a fan of playing the bass. To me, playing the bass was just such a boring instrument. And then when choices after I moved here, I hadn't been playing in a band for a while, so I'd pop onto Craigslist every now and then just to see if there was anything that caught my eye. And Steve, the guitarist, and the previous drummer had put up a post saying they were looking for a bassist and a vocalist, and the bands they mentioned were all the bands that I love. So I just applied and I said, hey man, I'd be keen to try out. And they said, okay, cool. Well, here's a couple of songs. I didn't have a bass. I went and rented one, basically figured out how to play it, and then went to rehearsal with the rented bass to see if I would, get the gig. And thankfully I got the gig. And I guess now I'm a bass player. So, and now I love it. I'd much rather play the bass than the guitar. So
It's great.
it's kind of weird how that turns out. But yeah, I'm on bass, Steve on guitar, Josh on vocals, and Mike on drums.
Yeah. It's the dad guitar, the bass.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I feel like the bass players are always the we get the shitty end of the stick, and we're always the subject of the jokes. But that's fine. I don't care when I'm on stage playing. I'm having the best time of my life, and I don't really care what instrument I'm playing or how I'm perceived. I'm having a good time. So
No, man. What kind of amp do you play through?
right now I'm playing through a Ampeg SVT Pro 3.
Nice.
Which I absolutely love. The only problem is it's such a heavy
Yeah.
head. But I started looking. I'm looking now into possibly getting the dark glass microtubes
Oh yeah.
amp. I've heard a lot of good things. I know what's the name from Sick of It All. I know he plays that sometimes as well. And it's just so much of a lighter amp.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm looking into possibly getting that. But the SVT is just it's such a good sounding amp, and I've been really happy with it. So that's what I'm playing right now. Yeah.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's
What do you have? Did I see in the music video you have an orange?
right now I've got a Mesa Boogie
Oh, nice.
head that I'm using. It's great, but it's the same thing. It's a tube amp, so it's like heavy as shit,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I've been tinkering or thinking about going to a solid state, like I've been looking at dark glass a lot, and orange has a good solid state head that
There's just something about those. There's just something about those tubes, though, man, that just make it sound so much better. Like there's that something with solid state that bugs me, and I'm kind of hoping that the micro tubes doesn't have that issue. But
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll find something wrong with it.
Yeah, it's always I find that like with gear stuff, especially me and all my music friends, there's always going to be something that you're just like, man, if this one thing,
Yeah, but I'm also the kind of guy, like I'm not an effects kind of guy. Like I just plug straight into that SVT Pro, and that's it.
Yeah.
And the sound that I get out of that is amazing. I just don't. The less stuff I have to worry about, the better. So
Right.
I don't like having a whole bunch of pedals in front of me, and because I kind of feel like the more pedals you add in, the more it it shrinks and thins out the sound. But again, I haven't had. I'm not a gearhead, so I'm probably missing out on a lot of things. But I do like the simplicity of just straight into the amp,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For some reason, I was watching U2 live videos earlier today,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you've looked at like what the Edge goes through, like his guitar rig setup, and it's just like
No.
a wall of like pedals. It's just like
Really.
this silly pedal thing. And anytime I get more than like one or two pedals, including like a tuning pedal, I'm just like, oh man, this is like some Edge bullshit. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Cool. Yeah. I have some, recently I've been doing like these, lightning round questions that I've been kind of like perfecting on the podcast. And so
Okay, I'm gonna ruin it for you.
nah,
So let's give it a try.
nah, man, it's gonna be great. Okay, so I changed a couple of them to fit what I think would be good for you.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
So the first one, what is your favorite type of poutine?
Oh man. Well, to be honest with you, I'm not fussy. Any poutine, like the more stuff on it, the better.
Right.
But I'm not a. Fuck, it's been so long since I've had poutine. I don't know. Pulled pork.
Pulled pork. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a pulled pork guy. I like pulled pork.
Right.
And pulled pork and fucking gravy and cheese curds and fries is
It makes sense.
Right.
It makes sense.
Okay. What is your favorite truck stop or gas station?
Oh, I don't even. You see, I haven't visited enough gas stations here in Canada to even be able to name one. Um, you know what? I'm just gonna have to say it doesn't matter. Whichever one has a Tim Hortons.
Okay. What is the worst punk rock bathroom that you've had to go poop in?
Oh, that's an easy one. As I say that, what's the name of the venue? It was in Hamilton. This is Hollywood. Is that in Hamilton? I think that's it. Thankfully, I before we played the show, this is actually with the previous band. It wasn't even with Choices Made. We went down the road and got a hamburger, and that burger did not sit well with me. And halfway through the gig, I realized something was wrong.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there were not a lot of people at this show, but I remember getting off that stage and heading straight to that bathroom. And it was not a good experience. All I can say is I'm glad that there weren't a lot of people, so there weren't a lot of people coming in and out of the washroom.
Okay.
Or should I say, they're lucky that they weren't there. But yeah, I think it was This Is Hollywood. I mean, it wasn't a bad looking. I mean, it was as good as you can get for a live dive bar.
Right.
But, it would have been that place. Yeah.
Do you have tattoos?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your last tattoo?
Oh, it would have been this snake on my wrist, which was done by Brandon Ing from. He was working at Taking Care of Business, TCB, when I got this, but he's opened up his own place now called Corner Pocket. Great artist, amazing guy.
Okay. Let me see. When did you get that? How long ago was that?
It wasn't long ago. It was probably last summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your worst border or customs experience?
Oh, I was traveling from. It was probably when I was coming from San Diego to Toronto. I was wearing I was wearing those Dickies baggy shorts, and it has like a cell phone pocket down the bottom, like the side of the leg.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten that I put my cell phone in there. And I'm pretty good at airports. Like I know I know you need to take your belt off and anything metal. And I had taken everything off that needed to be taken off, and I kept going through the metal detector, and it kept going off, and they kept calling me back, and I was like, I don't have anything on me, and they were like, and they were patting me down, and they were talking about taking me into the back room, and they were getting pissed off, and I was starting to panic, and they just kept putting me through the machine, and it kept going off, and we couldn't figure out. I was like, my pockets are empty, everything's, and then after a good 20, 25 minutes, I realized that my cell phone was still in my pocket. I mean, it's not a very bad experience, but that was my worst border experience. I'm sorry, I don't have anything. I don't have anything too exciting on that one.
No, it's cool, man. No, going through a border is always like just nerve wracking when you don't have anything to worry about, and then any hiccup, it's going to be like, okay, I'm getting.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They make it so that you're already paranoid and feel guilty before you've even gone through it. So
right.
It's understandable. I mean, I'm not that. I don't really get that stressed out at airports, but as soon as something goes weird or slightly wrong, then I start to panic.
Right. Yeah. Because it's like any mishap could be like, all right, well, we're just going to be here for a while until we figure all this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your favorite, I guess, Canadian alcoholic drink?
As in specifically made here in Canada?
Some.
I don't really. Well, okay, I'll tell you this. Living in South Africa, I used to drink, like my go-to drink when I went out was what we call Klipdrift and Coke. And Klipdrift was a brandy, which I know here in North America, brandy is it's not even a very popular liquor.
Yeah.
But back home, that's like drinking whiskey and Coke. Like brandy and Coke is what we drink there. And this Klipdrift is a real cheap and nasty brandy. But when you mix it with Coke, it's great. So that's what I used to drink. But then when I moved to San Diego, they obviously, I would try and order a brandy and Coke, and most of the bartenders would look at me strange or tell me to fuck off. So I had to change to Jack and Coke, which took me a while because I wasn't a whiskey fan at all. But I eventually grew to like it. And then I guess when I moved here, I discovered, and it's not Canadian, so I don't want to say it, but I discovered old fashions.
Oh, nice.
So I kind of now, especially if I go to a dive bar, I don't order it. But if I go to a fancy restaurant or something like that, I'll always order it because everyone makes it differently.
Right.
So I kind of enjoy that. But yeah, I mean, I guess for Canadian Club, I guess is a decent enough whiskey to drink.
Yeah.
But
what are you drinking right now? What is that?
That is Jack Daniel's Honey.
Ooh. Fancy.
Well, I wouldn't really call it fancy, but I do enjoy. I've got a sweet tooth, so I enjoy Jack Daniel's, and this honey is kind of I try not to drink too much soda, so it's good. I can drink that, straight on the rocks, whereas straight up Jack Daniel's I can do, but I don't enjoy it as much. What have you got there? Are you drinking wine?
I was drinking wine. My special lady friend brought some wine over. I don't know what it is. It was red. I don't know. You know.
Okay, good.
So
Yeah,
I was.
that's how
Yeah.
I am with.
Yeah, man. I'm not too like.
It's fine.
I'm not too. Oh, what is this? You know. I don't care. I'm not that snobby. I'm not that high society. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Uh, let's see here. What's the most expensive T-shirt that you bought?
See, I'm pretty cheap, so if I was to buy a T-shirt, I know how much a T-shirt costs to make. So as soon as someone's trying to take the piss, I'm just like, fuck you. Most expensive T-shirt. Uh, I'm probably going to say it would probably be like a Motorhead shirt, just because I'll pay any amount of money for anything that's Motorhead. So there's a good chance that I probably spent way more. I think when I was at the Rainbow 2 years ago, I know I bought pretty much. I know I bought the T-shirt, the hoodie, God knows what else. So I probably spent way more money than I should have on a T-shirt there, but it was well worth it. So.
Do they have a bunch of? Are they selling Motorhead swag?
Oh yeah,
out of the Rainbow.
Yeah. Because Lemmy
Right.
pretty much lived there. So after he died, I think they put out a bunch of like Motorhead / Rainbow shirts and hoodies.
Yeah, I know they had the statue there of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's also. I mean, the Rainbow is a rad. It's a rad bar.
Right.
Or at least, I mean, I like being there. I mean, to me, it's almost spiritual being
Right,
there.
yeah.
So I don't care. I had a great time. The bartender was awesome. I was actually sitting in Lemmy's spot, which I felt really weird about because I wasn't quite sure if I should sit there because I'm like, that's kind of sacrilege to sit on Lemmy's spot. But there wasn't anywhere else to. Well, I probably could have sat somewhere else, but it just my friend that I was with, he sat on the corner, and that kind of left Lemmy's spot open. So I was like, well, I'm either going to get told to move, or it'll be all right. And it was all right. So it was a great afternoon of drinking.
Wow. Were you playing video bingo or whatever he played? Video trivia?
No, I feel like it wasn't there when I was there. I don't remember seeing it because I think I would have played if it was there, and I don't remember seeing it. So I think they might have taken it away. Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah, that's all good. Like I said, I was just happy sitting there. It was great weather. I had good company. What more could you want, right?
Right. Yeah, it's going to like a musical play that might be like similar to going to like Abbey Road or something,
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like just this musical landmark. Have you been to other musical landmarks like that, or is that was like your big one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm to be honest with you, I'm not really much of a fanboy. Like, I appreciate musicians, but I'm not going to go out of my way to try and meet someone or get too excited. Lemmy is kind of the exception, but even that, like I'm not going to go out of my way to. I wouldn't have gone out of my way to try and meet him or anything like that,
right.
As much as I would have loved to. But yeah, to me, Rainbow was the only place that I wanted to go to. But at the same time, if I had the opportunity to go somewhere else, I get a kick out of, like when we played with my old band and we toured the UK, we played, I can't remember where it was in the UK, but it was a venue called the Arena. And I was talking to the sound tech, I think, an old geezer, and he was telling me about how the Sex Pistols and the Clash had played there, and that was kind of exciting to know that you've played on a stage that the Clash have played on. It was that felt good, but I mean, I'm always up for checking out, you know, any sort of musical history, especially when it's with artists that I admire. You know.
For sure. Yeah. In Canada, I mean, like we talked about the bovine. There's, that's pretty. There's a lot of history there, and like if you go to,
Oh yeah.
if you go to London, they call the office. There's
Yeah.
a lot of history there. You can even see like they've got like old like calendars on the walls, and it's like, oh shit, like AFI played here on a fucking random Tuesday in 1999 or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. When we played there, I remember spending a good half an hour to an hour just checking out all the photos and flyers and whatnot that they have up there. It's definitely a historical venue.
Right. Yeah. Mm.
But that's especially like going back to bovine. It's like that's what worries me with this whole pandemic. I mean, I'm so grateful. I'm so happy that the bovine is still up and going, and they've been able to get through this, and hopefully they're able to to get to the end of this, because that, like, Toronto will not be the same without the bovine. Like, the bovine is just, it sounds so dumb, but it's a magical place, man. You walk into that place and everyone's super friendly. It's got a great history to it. It's got a great vibe to it, and Toronto needs, especially for punk and hardcore, Toronto needs that venue, to keep the scene alive.
Right. Yeah. What are there other big Toronto punk venues, punk clubs?
We've got
that's got to be the biggest one, right?
Yeah, probably the most well-known.
Well-known, yeah.
Yeah. Then you've got the Hard Luck Bar, which is also a great venue. I mean, when I first moved here, it was like a small little venue. I remember seeing a couple of bands there, but it was really tiny. But it had a great vibe. And then they moved up the road to a much bigger venue. And it's not quite like the bovine, as in you could go on a night when there aren't any bands playing. Like, it's not really, it's a live venue. You go there to watch bands, but it's got a great stage. It's a good size. The drinks are cheap, and it's got that punk vibe to it. So you definitely feel at home, and it's an awesome venue. I've got to know the owner, one of the owners, really well, and she's an amazing person, and like they've done a lot for the the punk scene as well. But yeah, other than that, in Toronto, there's Cherry Colas as well, which we haven't played, which is it's a real tiny little spot, but it's got a great vibe to it. So yeah, but other than that, those are I think the main sort of punk. I might be missing one or two, because it's been a while since I've left the apartment.
Right,
so.
Of course. Right.
But then you've got the Opera House, which is a much larger venue. I mean, they have big bands playing there, but it's also a great place to play and to watch bands.
Nice. Yeah. Ooh.
What have you guys got on your side? Have you got any cool venues?
I mean, well, where I am in Mobile, Alabama, there's this place called the Alabama Music Box, which is a cool punk bar. But yeah, down here it's a little tough because so much stuff has changed and moved around. There used to be really not historic, but like clubs that bigger bands now had played when they were coming up, that have the venues have changed, and like it's not a venue anymore. It's like whatever, a clothing store.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, it's
I mean, do you guys have the majority of the bands coming through your city?
Sometimes, and try and set up shows, for our buddies, when we can. that sort of thing. It's a little tough, but people come out to shows, outside
Nice.
of the pandemic, it's
Yeah.
but yeah. We got some good stuff down here.
So have you guys got anything lined up now that like the States is kind of opening up? Are you guys sort of looking at getting back out on the road, or at least playing a couple of shows?
We're we're thinking about it. We're trying to figure out exactly what to do. We don't really want to, you know, it's still kind of super early, but people are starting to book shows and tours and stuff now. So maybe we might start booking something.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I just don't want to book something that we have to cancel some stuff on just, it's, it's a lot of work, booking stuff and getting people squared away. And so,
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
yeah.
Well, let's hope it does get back to some sort of normality, and we can all get back out there and start playing.
Yeah, I think it's it's coming, But yeah, I do have two more questions.
Oh yes, yeah.
What is your perfect pizza?
Perfect pizza. Okay, well, I'll answer with this because I know I'll get a lot of hatred. But Hawaiian pineapple and bacon, or pineapple and ham, I love that. But something I haven't had in a long time, because I don't see anybody doing it, is banana on pizza.
What?
Banana, yep, banana and bacon. Try it. It is. I can't remember where it was. It was back in South Africa.
Okay. I was about to say, is this a South African thing?
It's not actually. It's. I think it's. I was actually reading up about it the other night. It's not a South African thing. It's from another country, maybe Australia. But yeah, it tastes so good. I know it sounds so weird, and I'm not even a fan of banana. Like, I don't really like it, but on pizza, it's fucking great. So there you go. That's my favorite topic.
Man, Andrew, you're blowing my mind. I actually, I have found out recently an adult set banana allergy is what I have, unfortunately.
Okay, so what happens when you eat banana?
My throat gets kind of scratchy.
Okay, so I have the same thing.
Maybe maybe I can suffer through.
Oh yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just try it at least once.
Okay.
If you can find a place that does it, because I mean, I think there's a definite art to making a banana and bacon pizza. So you might need to find a place that does it.
So the banana, is it just a normal banana that somebody takes the wrapping off and they just cut it up and put it on there, or they have to prepare the banana?
No, you just slice it up, and I mean, I don't know if there's a maybe you don't put it in the oven for as long. I have no idea. I'm not an expert at it. I just remember having a chat with a friend of mine who lives here, who's also from South Africa, and someone asked us this the other day, and he brought it up. I'd completely forgotten about it, and he mentioned it, and it reminded me of having that and how good it was. So I don't know the exact process of making it work, but it works.
Okay. That might have to be something that I do in my apartment by myself. I don't know if I can get, a pizza place around here in Mobile, Alabama.
Give it a try.
Okay. Okay. And so my last question is, what would you want on your tombstone?
Oh, man. I haven't really thought about that because I've always planned on just being cremated. So there is no need for a tombstone. I want it to be something funny and ridiculous. Something like He was tall, dark, and handsome, but still an asshole. How about that? It's got to be something that'll make someone chuckle as they're walking through the graveyard and see that.
Right.
Know, I don't know if that would make anybody laugh or not, but it would make me laugh.
I think so. Okay. Well, Andrew, stay on for a second. But you had options, but you decided to talk to me, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. You probably had options as well, so thank you.
Oh, man. This is my only option tonight. Cool. Hold on,
awesome.
Andrew.
I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man.